Oops, I forgot to change that. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the power of imagination. So the power of imagination is one of our 12 innate powers, and it is represented by the color light blue, and it is located in the very center of our brain, right between the eyes. And so it's that power that we have to image, that power that we have to see beyond circumstances. So it is an awakening of our spiritual eyes, our spiritual senses, our spiritual sense of feeling and our spiritual hearing. So this power of imagination, Muhammad Ali said, "The man who has no imagination has no wings." And so the power of imagination sets us free to create our life anew, again and again and again. So we have that power of imagination to set us free. It sets us free. Imagination is more than daydreaming. You know, it's nice to sit around and just kind of have a little floating daydream that, passes the time. But an imagination, when we engage the power of imagination, we engage our whole self. There are 3 components to the power of imagination. And those components are vision, feeling, and action. In order to engage the power of imagination, we need to engage all 3 aspects. The power of imagination is our creative power. It is how we create our experiences. So I'd first like to share what sacred text teaches us about our creative powers. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. And we have seen his glory, full of grace and truth. Now, very often, it is thought that this scripture is talking about the physical man, Jesus, because this is from the Gospel of John. And so we naturally think, oh, well, this Word that became flesh must be the physical man, Jesus. But in Unity, we think of it as being the Christ presence that was in Jesus. The Christ presence is the Word that became flesh as Jesus. The Christ presence is the Word that became flesh as you and me. It is that Christ presence that is within us, that is that creative power. It is the Holy Word of God, the breath. So the second gospel, or the second sacred text I'd like to share, is from Genesis. And it's directly linked to John 1. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light was good and divided the light from the darkness. God said, "Let there be." He spoke the word. So when we talk about let there be, we're not talking about let it be, some other time. When I finish this project, when the pandemic is really fully over, when I have the finances to do it. No, it's a command, actually. Let it be. Let it be right now. Let it be. And so as God commands, let there be light, there is light. And light is often thought of as, we think of that divine idea, the light bulb over the head, the light that comes, we talk about the light that comes on. Oh, I get it. The light came on. It's that we get that divine idea. Divine mind or divine intelligence is always broadcasting divine idea. It is up to us to catch it. And as we catch it, then we have the power within us to create it. So let's talk about how that works. So I said that in order to create our experience from the power of imagination, there are three components. There's catching the vision. Got to catch the vision. The second is you have to feel the feelings. The third is you have to take the steps. You don't get to sit back in your recliner at home watching reruns of your favorite show and think that your vision is just going to show up on your doorstep or in your mailbox. That there is actually a process that we engage in. Now, the first thing I want to say about vision is that we cannot have a vision that is not a divine idea, that is not in alignment with our soul. So if we get a vision, we get this idea, what I'd really like to do is, that's a divine idea. That's a divine idea. And we have free choice. We can say, wow, I love that divine idea. That sounds like a lot of fun. Or we can go, not ready. And that's okay too. But we cannot have a divine idea, we cannot have an idea, a vision that is not a divine idea. There is one mind. So I have a little story. So Dennis and I, my husband, excuse me, were young, very young, and he was thinking of going into the service. And where we lived, it would not be safe to leave me to live there alone. And so we didn't know what to do. I didn't have family locally that I could count on, and so we just didn't know what to do. And so one day I was at the laundromat, and I got this idea. That would work. Oh, I can hardly wait till he comes home. That would work. I bet that would work. Oh, this is cool. So I'm all excited. I'm waiting. for him to come home. And he opens the door. Man, I'm right there. I'm pouncing, ready. I got it. And he's going, I got it. And I'm going, no, I got it. Because somebody has to, be right. No, I got it. So, what's your idea? And he says, his idea. And I went, that's exactly the idea I had. And then I played with him and I said, so what time about do you have any idea about when you got this idea? About what time during the day you got it? And he goes, yeah. He goes, because it was so clear. And so he told me. It was exactly the same time that I got the idea. We followed through on that idea. It was a life-changing idea. It changed our entire lives. But we had to do the process. We still had to do the process. Even though we had this great idea, there were still steps that we had to take and things like that. But there's those divine ideas. We get those ideas and we get excited. Or sometimes the excitement shows up as fear. Sometimes the excitement shows up as fear because the question arises in our mind. Really? I can't do that. Really? Really? No, you're not asking. No, you're not asking me to do that. Now, I want to be really clear that it's not an outside force that is asking you to do anything. It is your own spirit. When you catch that divine idea, it is your spirit that is speaking to you and saying, this would be fun. This would be fun. This would be expanding. This would be whatever it is that we would experience out of that. We came to this planet to experience. This is the planet of experience. And so my belief is that no matter what our current circumstances are, we are not limited. We are not limited in our expression. We will never be called to do something that would go against our own spirit, that would go against our own soul. So Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith teaches, there's two teachings that he has taught that have been very profound in my own life, and they have to do with the power of imagination. The first one is the 4 states of consciousness. And it's that we have the victim state. So we get that divine idea. And our little victim pops up and goes, oh no. Oh no, can't do that, can't do that. So when I talk about victim, I'm not necessarily talking about, I can't do any, it's not my fault, everybody else is to blame. It's not that kind of victim. It's just a state of consciousness that is where we don't see our own power. It's really an unconscious state about our own power and the power that is within us, that Christ presence that is within us. It is a state of forgetfulness. The next state is the state of the metaphysical state. And a metaphysician is a person who recognizes all of a sudden that, I can. I have power. I have inner power. I have this divine presence that is within me, and I can do it. Whatever it is, I can do it. The third stage is the stage of the mystic. And the stage of the mystic is where we recognize that, yeah, we can try to force things to go our own way through the metaphysician stage, because we say, I do it myself, thank you very much, God. In the mystic stage, we recognize that that presence is moving through us. That presence is moving through us. And so everything that we need in order to fulfill whatever the vision is, that presence is moving through us, and that we have access to everything that we could possibly need. We have access to it in every moment. So we allow that presence to move through us. And the last stage is the stage of the master. And the stage of the master is where we know no separation. That we say with Jesus, the Father and I are one. And we see no separation. Now, I'm going to say that we move back and forth between these states of consciousness several times a day, depending on what happens. We get a phone call. Well, for me, that, oh, down to victim. You know, or I may step up into mystic or master, depending on what the phone call is. We have a situation that, you know, when we go out of the house, or we have a relationship issue. Whatever it is during the day, we fluctuate between these states of consciousness all day long. As we engage our spiritual practice, and especially the spiritual practice of the power of imagination, then we have a tendency to stay in the higher realms a little more than the lower realms. And when we go into the lower realms, we feel it and step out a little quicker. So the other teaching, which goes right along with this teaching, is the visioning process. And I think that the visioning process with the power of imagination just goes so perfectly. So the visioning process is about really coming at it from that mystical consciousness. The consciousness of God moving through me. And really working on it as working towards God as me. So we're in this state of consciousness, and we enter into prayer, and we're in a state of consciousness, and we ask, what is Spirit's vision for my life at this time or in this circumstance? Now, I'm not talking about an external deity that has a plan for our lives. I'm talking about what is our Spirit's plan, vision in this circumstance. Because our Spirit sees much more than our conscious mind is aware of. Our Spirit knows much more than our conscious mind is aware of. And so we open ourselves up to this vision, whatever it is. And very often, when the vision comes through, the first response is, oh no, nope, not doing it. But when we sit with it, and we go through the process, and we ask ourselves the questions, okay, let's just play with this. I like to look at it like a game. Okay, let's just play with it. If I were to do this, what must I release? What old beliefs about myself would I have to release in order to bring this vision into form? Would I have to release my lack and limitation beliefs about prosperity? Would I have to release an old idea that I have about how someone else is going to respond to my vision? What would I have to release in order for this vision to come into fruition? The second question is, what must I become? How is this vision calling me to step up higher and broader than I have ever stepped up before? How is this vision inviting me to live life more fully? Full of, how did the Gospel of John say it? Full of grace and glory. How would I broaden? What would that look like to broaden? What would I need to become in order to experience this vision fully? And then asking, what gifts and talents do I already have? What gifts and talents do I already have that would engage this vision, that would empower this vision? And maybe they're gifts and talents that I was aware of when I was a child, and I need to kind of bring them out and dust them off and practice them. But what is it? What are those gifts and talents that we already have? Because we are already equipped. We are already equipped to bring the vision forward. And the next step, and at this point, this is the most important step. Am I willing to say yes? Am I willing to say yes? Yes. Yes, Spirit, I am willing. Yes, Spirit, I can do, I can. Yes, Spirit, I will. I will. We get into that feeling nature, and we begin to feel what it would feel like in order, if that vision were, we've said yes. And as we've said yes, we have actually said, and so let it be. And so let it be. Let it be now. And then we begin to take those steps that were revealed to us. We begin to take the action steps as they are revealed. We may need to make a phone call. We may need to do some research. But as we take those action steps, we're actually demonstrating to the universe, this is what I want. This is what I want to experience. When we first started this ministry a couple of years ago, I walked us through that visioning process. That's how we came up with the mission and the vision statement. Because we visioned what this ministry might look like. And one of the things that I have become aware of is that we are at a point, we've been away from each other. And we haven't been able to gather together. And in a sense, it feels as if it's brand new. It feels as if it's brand new. And we have an opportunity to vision what Unity of Verde Valley can be. What can Unity of Verde Valley be in Cottonwood, in the Verde Valley? How can we be known? What would we want to be known as? What is the vision that we want to hold, and how do we want to express that vision? I invite you to think about that, because each of us, it is our collective consciousness that creates the vision that is Unity of Verde Valley. It's not my job. I don't stand up here and say, well, this is what Unity of Verde Valley is, and this is what we're going to do, and so you just do what I tell you to do. It doesn't work that way. It's about a collective consciousness that we create together. So what do we want to create together? How do we want to step into this fully alive? I invite you to think about, what is the vision? What is it that vision that Spirit is calling you to participate? How is Spirit calling you to participate in Unity of Verde Valley as we create this ministry anew, again, and again, and again? So let's take a moment. And just take a breath. To just take that sacred, divine breath. And we drop down into our hearts. We drop down into that sacred place where we hear the still small voice. That still small voice of Spirit within us, speaking life, speaking love, speaking peace, speaking pure joy, allowing that presence to fully engage us. We activate that power of imagination, that power of vision. And we image what is God's vision. We allow ourselves to feel the feelings. That feeling of excitement that we feel when a spark of life is ignited within us. How do we outpicture this? What does it look like? Knowing that we do not have to figure out the how. How is none of our business. That's God's job. And we create space for God to be God. And we ask to have our part revealed to us. What is one step I can take? As a demonstration of the power of my yes. Yes. Oh, yes, I am willing. Oh, yes. And we express our gratitude. We send our gratitude out, knowing that our gratitude blesses us and blesses the world. We are grateful. We are grateful for vision. We are grateful for insights and new life. The ability to create life anew. Again and again. And we close this time of meditation and prayer by saying, let it be. Let it be. Amen.
Wow. Thank you, Reverend Charlie. That was so inspiring. I think we're all saying yes to something, right? At this time, we have received. Now it's time to give back. So we have an offering blessing that we like to say before we collect, and there are several ways we can give financially to Unity of Verde Valley. One, of course, is being here on Sundays, and we don't pass the offering bag anymore at this time, but we have a white bowl over here that you can put your offering in as you leave. You can send it to our mail P.O. box, or you can go through, what am I trying to say? PayPal, yeah. That usually works. We've had some problems in the past, but I think they've resolved.